This is warm up for our Reporter of the Day segment. So for this, we have Mr. Baird for defense and Mr. McKinley for the plaintiff. So to identify, I am Mr. McKinley for the plaintiff.
I'm the witness.
I'm attorney for defense, Mr. Baird.
Would you like those spellings now? Please. McKinley is MC capital Kinley.
And Baird.
And Baird is B-A-I-R-D.
Very good. So we'll do the witness swearing later. Okay. Just because I don't know why. I don't have my watch. Sorry. And we did identify, so we're on good. Okay. So beginning in 19. Mr. Baird.
Oh, yeah, that's me, huh? Doesn't have a name.
That's true.
Okay, for the record. Would that be about 4 or 5 miles to the west end?
Uh-huh.
Is that your residence on other property that you purchased at that time, that you purchased the Murphy Place property?
No, we bought that about 47.
So you've been living there since 1947, is that correct?
Well, we moved there in 48.
When you bought the Murphy's Place, did you know who owned the adjoining properties?
Just to identify, you mean properties north of Highway 12 or south of Highway 12?
Well, my first question was, did you know the people who owned the adjoining properties?
I believe Mr. Baird's question was if at the time the Lanes purchased the Murphy Ranch, which is known as Murphy Place, if they knew who were any of the landowners on the property that was next to theirs. And Mrs. Lane has pointed to this map, number 15, with a circle and has identified that as Wallace.
Yes.
Okay. Do you know what her first name was?
Well, the other father, the mother was alive at the time. Ollie Wallace, I think it was.
Could you write the word Wallace where the property was located?
And at that time, it was Dill, I think.
That was Dill.
Uh-huh.
And you're referring to parcel 3 north of Highway 12?
Yes, but then it was sold and we bought it.
You just have to answer the question.
And you marked that with the word Dill. Is that correct?
Uh-huh.
Is there any, what about the next other adjacent properties?
I'm not sure. Harris owned it at one time, but whether...
You don't recall whether he owned it at the time you purchased the Murphy Place?
How about the...
I don't know. I can't be sure.
Let me back up one moment. At one time was the parcel that's marked with circle 8. Is that correct?
Uh-huh.
Just south of Highway 12? Okay, you have to speak up for the court reporter. You have to say yes or no for the court reporter.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Okay, do you have any idea who owned the parcel that is marked with a circle 9 on Exhibit 1?
No.
Do you know who owned the parcel that's marked with the circle 7 on Exhibit 1 at the time you purchased the Murphy Place?
Podesto.
Okay, why don't you put a P in there and circle that? You have circled that for me. Do you know who owned the parcel that has been circled 12 on Exhibit 1?
That's changed hands a number of times.
Do you know who owned it at the time you purchased the Murphy Place?
No.
The parcel that's marked with a circle 4, do you know who owned that at the time you purchased the Murphy Place?
No.
Do you know who owned either of the parcels across Highway 12 from your property and to the west of the Dill property at the time you purchased the Murphy place.
Just for reference, council is pointing to lots that are designated Lot 1 with the circle 18 and Lot 2 with a circle 19.
No.
Mrs. Lane, do you know the first name of the person whose last name is Dill that owned the property across Highway 12 from the Murphy place when you first purchased it?
It was one Moore and one Dill, as I remember.
Do you know which one might have owned that property on the north side of Highway 12 when you first purchased the Murphy place?
Well, it was two brothers who owned it, I think. Ray Dill, and I don't remember the other name.
Do you know if any members of the Dill family are still living in San Joaquin County?
No.
Do you know anything about the whereabouts of any members of the Dill family?
I think they're all dead. You're dealing with a long time ago.
Do you know of any members of the Wallace family that may still be living?
Oh, yes.
Who is that?
Terry Questo and Marla Mello.
You mentioned that at one time somebody with the name of Harris owned the property. That's marked with a circle 8 on Exhibit 1. Do you know anything more about the Harrises
No.
that owned that property?
No.
You don't know their first names?
No.
Do you know if they had any children or if they might be surviving?
I haven't any idea.
Have you ever heard of anybody by the name of John Harris?
That's not the cattle man, is it?
Huh?
Harris.
No, I don't believe so.
Do you know of anybody by the name of, just for clarification, a response was that she does not know a John Harris as someone who associated with the Harris Feed Ranch. All right, that's associated with John Harris. Do you know of anybody with the name of Aaron Harris? Or
I never knew any Harrises.
Because she does not know anything in specifics with this Harris throughout her life.
well, if she doesn't, well, then that's fine. Do you know of the name of Melanie Easley?
No.
Do you know anybody who had the last name Easley?
No.
When you first purchased the Murphy place, what kind of use was it being put to?
Use the Lanes put it to, or?
Who purchased the Murphy place?
You mean what Teddy Murphy did?
What was he using the land for at the time you purchased it?
Well, he had a dairy.
That was located on this property?
Yes.
Do you recall what use the Podestos were putting their land to at the time you purchased the Murphy place?
Nothing that I can recall.
Do you recall what use the Dills were putting their land to across Highway 12 from you?
What they did with it?
That's correct. At the time you purchased the Murphy place.
Well, he had grain.
Do you recall what use the property adjacent to Cord Road was put to at the time you purchased the Murphy place?
Well, that was just cattle.
Do you recall what the property, well, Cord Road was being used for cattle, is that correct? At the time you purchased the Murphy place?
Uh-huh.
The property that's between Highway 12 and the Podesto property was being used for what purpose at the time you purchased the Murphy place?
Just for the record, Dave, you're talking about this single parcel that's between the Podesto property and Highway 12?
That's correct.
Well, Teddy Murphy had cattle, that's all I know, and a dairy. That was his place.
Was Teddy Murphy's dairy located between the Podesto property and Highway 12?
He owned all this property.
Were you talking about the dairy facilities themselves?
That's correct. The dairy building, I should say.
No, it was back here.
Okay, south of the Podesto property then, is that correct?
Yes.
Southwest of the Podesto property?
Yes. Ooh, I hear the air.
That says diary.
Everyone put on their.
Did you notice that?
Yeah, mine's got little.
Aren't we talking about a dairy?
Just that one
I
page?
know.
I didn't even like.
It was just the one, everything
Oh,
else
it does
says
say.
dairy. That's funny. Okay.
Oh,
Oh,
mine's changed.
Oh, was it? Let me
Got to
see.
split like that.
I'm trying to pause.
And it was, I'm sorry, just like, it was palace or place that you guys were saying, Murphy?
Place.
Place.
Okay, so this is our Reporter of the Day segment. And to re-identify who we are, I am Mr. McKinley for the plaintiff.
I am the witness.
I am the attorney for defense, Mr. Baird.
And we need the witness sworn in now.
Please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly state under penalty of perjury that the evidence that you shall give in this matter shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you. Okay, so use the timing marks that are on the side-ish, you know, if you have to,
19.
yeah, that or slower as it seems appropriate, okay?
Okay. All right. Are you ready? Everybody else? Okay. And it's Mr. Baird for the record. Was your property that which was located near Cord Road and Highway 12?
That the parents left him?
Right.
It was right almost in Clements,
Okay.
past the schoolhouse.
Was there a time when you and Mr. Lane left the trucking business?
Yes.
Okay. When was that approximately?
I don't know for sure.
That's fine.
Okay. Can you give us an approximate time?
It was about 25 years.
What was the next business that you or Mr. Lane were involved in?
Well, we had sheep, some cattle.
When did you first get in the sheep and cattle business?
Must have been approximately around the 25 years.
Okay, that would have been,
Probably.
that would have been,
That was after you were out of the morning milk business, then you went to sheep and cattle.
would that be after World War II then?
Funny to have that as a reference point, World War II.
World War II. Let's see. Yes. By that time, we were in the sheep and cattle business.
And as a result of getting into the sheep and cattle business, did you begin to buy additional real property?
Yes.
Did you buy any property when you first got in the sheep and cattle business in the area of Cord Road and Highway 12?
We bought the whole place first. We bought,
What his question is asking, at the corner of Highway 12 and Cord Road.
that was about in the early 40s.
You bought that property in the early 40s?
That's the property that's the subject of the lawsuit?
Yes.
Okay.
Do you recall who you bought the property from?
Teddy Murphy.
And is that the property that you previously described as the home place?
No.
There is a name that you commonly used to refer to the property you bought from Teddy Murphy.
Yes, the Murphy place.
Mrs. Lane, I'd like to show you two photographs, and maybe John, you have some ideas in this too. One is a contour map and one is a county assessor's map, and maybe one or the other of them is easier for you to read.
Let's go with the assessor's map as opposed to the topographic map.
Okay.
It's confusing. You produced this map?
No, I just got it.
Yeah. Let's go ahead and see.
Okay. Mrs. Lane, I show you an assessor's map number 02314. It's been marked as Exhibit 1. And I think you have had a brief opportunity to review it with your attorney to review the map. Do you recognize that map?
I guess.
I don't think she recognizes the map per se, but I think she recognizes the area per se.
Do you recognize what is represented by the map on the map? And also, you see Cord Road and the railroad, I guess described as a Southern Pacific Railroad. Do you recognize that? Okay, you have to speak up for the reporter's benefit.
Yes.
Okay, can you identify the location of your property on this map that's been marked as Exhibit 1? I'd like you to use my pen.
And just for purpose of the record, you are referring to the property when it's first purchased or property as the interest is today?
Thank you. I'd ask it that way. When you first purchased the Murphy Ranch, could you identify that?
Yes.
Mark them with an A in a circle.
Well, you want the whole ranch or just what surrounds it?
Everything that was purchased from the Murphys when you purchased the ranch.
What do I put?
Why don't you just put a circle with an M around it? Okay, so you marked each parcel that you purchased from the Murphys with an M with a circle around it. Is that correct?
Right.
At the time that you purchased the Murphy place, were you still living in the town of Clements?
No.
Excuse me, could you read back that last question, please, Ms. Reporter?
At the time, at the time that you purchased the Murphy place, were you still living in the town of Clement?
Okay, thank you.
Where were you living at that time?
20530 East Highway 12.
That's your current residence. Is that correct?
Uh-huh.
And is that located anywhere on this map?
No, not on this map.
How far from Cord Road is your residence?
Cord Road? About 5 miles, I guess. 4 or 5 miles.
All right, that ends our Reporter of the Day segment. So again, if you're using this for practice material, I urge you to pause and read back that segment.
Can I get Clemens spelling and Cord? I think it is. Is it just K-O-R-D? I mean, C-O-R-D.
C-O-R-D, Cord. Clements, C-L-E-M-E-N-T-S.
I think there was another street or something.
Highway 12. I don't know.
And then, oh yeah, just Murphy is MURPH1.
Correct. Teddy Murphy was one of the names. And Lane was the last name, Lane. I don't see any other addresses, do you? Street name?
Murphy
I
Ranch?
think it was Lane, oh, Murphy Ranch too. It was Murphy Ranch, Murphy Place.
Yeah, yeah. I think, yeah. Okay, good.
The railroad.
All right, so I think we'll pause again. Okay, this is some other warm-up now. We have Mr. Woodside for defense, who is examining, and Ms. Mann for the plaintiff. So we're going to just read through and use the side margin timings, which this will begin at 160 and go up to 170. So we are just jumping right in there. Okay, so
Is that Peter?
Peter.
what
I'd
page are
say
you on?
Peter. Van
And
de Bovenkamp. Pita.
Peter.
Pita Van
So how
de
we're supposed to say it?
Bovenkamp.
Peter Van de Bovenkamp.
Yeah,
Sure.
like that.
Just, it doesn't matter. Say it like you mean it.
Peter Van de Boven.
But with an accent.
Okay, so to identify, I am Ms. Mann for the plaintiff.
I am the witness.
I am attorney for defense, Mr. Woodside.
Okay.
Do we do anything with these dates or just leave them?
Oh, just leave them.
Okay.
I don't know.
Sorry.
I don't care.
Okay, and it's Mr. Woodside questioning for the record. During the period of 1985 through 1990, did you ever give your ex-wife cash to live on in the form of cash?
Yes.
When you sent her money, did you generally send her actual cash, or did you send her a check or some form of a check like a MoneyGram?
When you say send, I assume you're not talking about personally, face-to-face. Transmitting by personal means?
I'll use the word deliver, whether by mail or handing it to her. Did you generally, was it usually cash bills, or was it some check or some other variety?
From what period of time?
1985 to 1990.
Where?
Well, was it, let me rephrase the question for you. What I'm trying to find out generally, your habit during those years, 1985 through 1990. When you sent her money or delivered money to her, was it in the form of bills, cash money, or was it in the form of check or MoneyGram?
I'm going to object to the question as compound. Let's have a question that's not compound.
During the years of 1985 to 1990, did you ever deliver to your ex-wife cash for her to live on?
Yes.
Did you do that on a frequent basis?
I don't understand frequent.
Did you do it often?
What period of time?
Pardon?
I don't understand.
During the period of 1985 to 1990, do you think that when you were giving her money to pay her personal expenses, did you more often than not give her cash or a check or some similar instrument to a check?
I think all of the above are correct.
Did you give her cash most of the time or checks most of the time?
I don't remember.
Did you give her cash a lot of the time?
I don't remember. She had her bank cards. We had joint bank cards. She put money on that if she wanted. She had a Versatile card. She drew money out of whatever institution she wanted.
Doctor, do you recall going to Paris in 1982?
What month?
I don't know.
Then I don't remember.
Any time in 1982?
I don't remember, no.
Do you recall going to Paris with your ex-wife at any time?
He answered that, and the answer was yes.
Do you recall what year that was?
I know it was not 1982.
Do you recall when you went that you took $30,000?
I took $30,000?
Yes.
Well, let me answer. If I took $30,000, don't you think I would know it? I don't remember taking $30,000. Where would I get $30,000?
Do you recall when you were in Paris buying your ex-wife a $10,000 Baez, B-I-A-Z-E watch?
There is not such a brand.
The answer is no. Do you recall purchasing for her on the Paris trip an expensive pearl necklace worth about $5,000?
On the Paris trip?
Yes.
No, let me rephrase that because I don't understand what he's asking. On the Paris trip, did I buy her a pearl necklace? Is that what you said?
Yes.
On the Paris trip?
At the time you went to Paris.
No.
Doctor, petitioner's 85. You understand there is some handwriting next to remarks. Is that your handwriting?
It looks like mine.
Do you want to look at those for a minute? Doctor, I'd like you to look at petitioner's exhibit 86 and examine each of the pages beginning on page 2 and tell me if your signature appears at the bottom.
It looks like mine.
Doctor, if you could look at page 5. I believe page 5 indicates your income was $134,000 through November. I believe that was greater than the gross income of your federal tax return. Do you know why this income is greater than the income on your federal tax return?
I'm going to object without the federal tax return here.
Doctor, have you had a chance to examine your 1989 federal tax return?
Yes.
Can you tell me why the statement you received from Peter Van de Bovenkamp is greater than the amount shown on your 1989 federal return?
Sure.
Okay.
I don't know. He prepared it.
If you take a look at page 2, I believe, let me see. I don't know how that's numbered here. If you look at page 3, what is the medical group referring to?
I don't know.
All right. It says under income business. Do you know what that refers to?
No.
All right. Was it Sunset Medical?
It's a name.
Of what?
I think it was the Echo Company, ECHO.
What is the Echo Company?
It is an echocardiogram service company.
Why don't you explain to me how you got income from that?
Because I already got income from that.
If you recall, he testified he was expanding and doing echoes, and he was working for them and doing separate work.
I really don't understand what Sunset Medical is. Why don't you tell me in your own words why there is an indication of Sunset Medical under your income with $8,800?
Because like my counsel stated to you one more time, when I was with Dr. Ibanez doing his test, there was this business that was owned by him under the name of Sunset Medical, and I used to read echoes, so they paid me that amount of money.
What was Sun-Kissed Metal?
It was basically the same thing. It was another outfit where I agreed to read echoes, and they paid me money.
Was that owned by Dr. Ibanez? Dr. Ibanez had 2 companies that produced echocardiograms.
I didn't say that.
All right, who owned Sunset? Did Dr. Ibanez own Sunset?
I really don't know. All I know, I got paid for interpreting their stuff in doing their echoes.
On the first page, it indicates your address is 14311 Ramona Boulevard. Was that Dr. Ibanez's address?
Correct.
Doctor, I'd like to show you a check register and ask you if that's your writing.
This is a portion of a check register.
I believe it is.
Doctor, there is an entry with the date of 4/24/92. Could you read that for us, the writing?
No,
Is that your writing?
I think so.
It says 2. Are you able to read that?
No, it doesn't say 2.
Right there, it says 2.
Oh, there. I think it's Dr. Thomas Faber, F-A-B-E-R.
Then there's another entry, 415.
Benefits Data Administrators,
Who would that be?
Health Insurance.
For yourself personally?
for your client.
In entry 52292, it says 2. And I can't read the writing.
Where it says Mercedes-Benz of California,
And then 52892.
something California J something.
Les and lab.
I have no idea.
There's some writing at the bottom. Can you read that?
Something payment.
All right. Then 43092.
What?
What is that for?
GTE.
All right. 4892. Can you explain that entry?
Can I explain what entry?
What was it for?
It says CARRILLO.
Why were you paying Herman Carrillo $1,250?
I don't know.
What does the writing say?
For professional services and rent.
What would the rent refer to?
When somebody uses somebody else's place of business, I believe it's called rent.
Did you pay Carrillo rent?
Yes, I stated that over and over and over, and you asked that over and over and over.
You were paying him rent in addition to favor?
Do I have to answer it?
Do it one more time.
Yes.
Pardon?
Yes.
The answer is yes.
All right. You got an entry 82792 to Dr. Mueller for professional services. What would that be for?
The rent,
The rent on what?
the house, and the living expenses.
Doctor, I'd like to show you a number of checks and ask you about the checks. The first one is 32892 Exxon Pacific. What is that for?
That was for service and repair on my car.
Exxon Pacific is a car repair place.
No, Exxon Pacific is a gas station that repairs cars.
Then we have a check 82191 LA resident. Can you tell me what that is?
I believe it's a bed and breakfast.
All right, then 4192. Can you tell me what that's for?
All right, but can I read what it says? Payments to life insurance policy.
Do you have a policy with them?
Penn Mutual Life Insurance.
All right, 32692 Delta Airlines. Do you know what that was for?
Yes, a ticket.
For whom and where did the person go?
We went to Mexico.
When you say we, you mean you and Dr. Mueller?
Yes.
All right, you have two checks, 31092 and 22092 to Dr. Carrillo for $578. I think it's $578. Is that correct? What would those checks be for?
It's $518.
Each one of them, it says for rent, March, and office supplies. Here it says for professional services. And here it says for professional services, which was rent.
And that would be on check number 1678. Now, April 25th of 92, you have a check to Carrillo for $1,253. What was that for?
That was for replacement for a check that bounced. If you show me the check, no, the rent check.
We don't have it.
They are all for rent and supplies.
Supplies?
Yes.
You didn't pay Carrillo for any service he performed for you?
No.
This was supplies.
Right. And rent on the agreement that we have already testified to.
All right, I'd like to ask you about check 1062, 81590, and ask you who that is to.
The Prudential Insurance Company of America.
And what was that for?
That was for a 3-month premium for your client and my daughter, not even for me.
For medical?
Health, 3 months because of Maria's surgery.
And 51991, Stephen or MDS. Do you recall what that was for?
Services,
Who is Dr. Stephen?
it's a doctor.
Who saw him?
Who saw him?
Yes.
Probably me. I remember what that was. He lent me $1,500.
Doctor, I'd like to show you another check for 1392, and maybe you can read the writing at the bottom there.
Excuse me?
It was for a cashier's check.
Pardon?
It was made for a cashier's check. What was the date?
This is 413 of 92.
Okay.
Okay. I'd like to show you some checks with an account you have with Dr. Mueller. The first one is 1057, and it's Colonial National. What is Colonial National?
I don't know.
You don't know what the check is for?
I haven't seen the check. That's not my signature.
The next check, 1069, is AT&T Universal Card. Do you know whose card that was?
No.
The next one is 005, and it's First USA Visa. Do you know whose visa that was?
No.
The next check is 1042. Monte Rosa Partnership. I assume that's your condo.
No.
What is Monte Rosa Partnership?
I don't know.
You have no idea what that check is for?
It says rent.
And that's not the rent for your condo?
You asked me if Monte Rosa was my condo?
Are they the landlords?
I don't know. I don't pay the rent.
Do you believe that to be the rents of the premises you reside in?
The amount at that time is accurate, yes.
1038, Colonial National Bank, and you don't know what that is either. 1030, First North American National Bank.
I have no idea.
Well, people, I rest.
People. People.
Okay, this is a little bit, 2 minutes of warm-up from the take material. We have Mr. Shalin for defense who is examining, and Mr. Warren for the plaintiff. I am Mr. Warren for the plaintiff.
I am the witness.
I am attorney for the defense, Mr. Shalin.
Are we already starting to take?
No, this is warm-up from the take material.
Are we doing all three of them?
14.
No. We're just doing 2. 14s, yeah,
Is that me?
yes.
Okay. And it's Mr. Shalin questioning for the record. When did you actually report it?
The next day.
Let me just try and clarify this. Did they actually give you a claim form on July 27th and the injury occurred on July 23rd? Now, did you actually work the next day?
Yes, sir.
And when you reported this injury, did they send you to any doctor at that time?
No, sir.
I understand that at that time, you were already treating with a chiropractor to some degree. Is that correct?
Correct.
And that was Dr. Diamond?
Yes, sir.
The very next day, you went to the doctor?
No, sir.
She didn't say that. You said at that time that you had already been treating outside of the injury with a chiropractor, correct?
Correct.
I see.
When did you begin treating with Dr. Diamond?
That I don't know. I don't remember.
Had you been treating with him for more than a month before your injury?
I don't even remember.
If you don't remember, just say so.
No, I don't remember. Sorry.
I understand Dr. Diamond was originally a customer at the Cheesecake Factory.
Yes.
How did that turn into a professional relationship?
He came in a lot.
Is his office nearby?
Nearby, yes, sir.
When you worked at the Cheesecake Factory, did you have any kind of health insurance?
For a short time in the beginning.
What insurance did you have?
I don't remember the name of it. It was just health insurance.
Through the company?
Yes.
Okay. And you said you only had it for a short time. Why did it end?
I couldn't afford it.
And during the time that you did have it, did you have to pay a portion of your coverage?
I don't know.